Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. So, this is only for entertainment, and tonight is more about my doodles. Well, okay, no financial advice, no good things are coming from this, but thank you very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and um, have you ever thought about wanting to go into farming and getting a hobby farm? Well, we're about to go into, is Yieldmax a better investment than hazelnut farming? And if that seems like the most random question you've ever heard, it's because I live on a sheep farm and my dad is thinking about converting it into a hazelnut farm. And so now I'm having to do a bunch of research into hazelnuts. I'm not, I might be a little resentful. So um, here's my first stab of, is hazelnut farming a good idea? And is it better than Yieldmax? So, um, hazelnut farming is not something that is popular in Tennessee, where I am right now. And it is mostly because of the disease pressure, and they do not grow well here. But according to my dad, yeah, like you could. And we have a Tennessee is a very long state, so there is different microclimates, and he seems to think that because we live in a valley on a hill, that we should be okay, and we will see. But I am going to have to challenge him on some of these things. So um, we have about 15 acres of farmable land. And the reason why we're getting away from the sheep business is because um, my dad never looked into how to sell the sheep effectively. And so when we took them to auction, we only got $1 per pound, and that is like nothing. And the reason why he's thinking trees in an orchard is because you can grow it and still go on vacation, which, with sheep and livestock, there's no vacation. There's no, you can't go away. So, anyway, so hazelnuts. We have about 15 acres. You can produce about 2,500 pounds of hazelnut per acre, and the minimum for wholesalers is 25,000 pounds of hazelnuts. So we meet that 1.5 times. So hopefully we won't have a bad year, and we'll be able to do 1.5-ish of 25,000. So actually, yes, okay. That is correct. Okay, so I asked Perplexity what are the ranges that we can expect for selling in the shell hazelnuts. And they said that the price ranges from $2.75 per pound to $1.22. And so I put three scenarios, just like 55 cents per pound, $1.22, and $2.75. And hazelnut trees, once they get established, and if they don't get the blight or any other diseases, they should produce for about 50 years. So my dad's really not that concerned past year 30. So after 30 years, if you did hazelnuts and you could find a buyer and everything went well, you would have about $2,578,125 in the best case scenario. The next case scenario is about $1 million, and then if you're only getting 55 cents per pound, it is $500,000 in 30 years total. And then I looked at a compound interest calculator. This is from NerdWallet. If you had the initial, this is a number my dad threw out there. You did 30%, 30 years at 10%, compounding annually. So that would be equivalent to the S&P 500, thereabouts. You'd have about $1 million. So I think for a lot of retirement, we say like 7%. So you have between 500,000 and $1 million over, 30 years. So it is kind of equivalent to putting it in the S&P 500. But I do believe that the S&P 500 does have a 10% annual return on average. So I would expect that if I put $60,000 in today and didn't touch it and just reinvested everything, that I'd have about $1 million. So that would be like the middle of the road. Didn't have to deal with hazelnuts or equipment or the property or anything. So just keep that in mind. And then this is a spreadsheet that I got from Retire on Dividends, his Discord. You can watch his videos and join his Discord and get these yourself. And I took the Misty one, I made it my own. So this one's pretty much the same though. So if you had $60,000 and you have a 35% average yield, the very first month you would have $1,735 per month. Does this have, I guess it would have your annual income. I don't know if it has your total value though. I think the calculation tab has the value. But on year 10, your annual income is $695,000 and you get $57,000 a month. In year 20, you're getting $1 million a year. And I don't know if Yieldmax is going to be around for that long, or if they're going to continue having at least a 35% distribution over a very long period of time. But I would rather have a monthly income of $1 million in 20 years than $1 million total, and then having to deal with hazelnuts. I keep calling them almonds when I talk to my parents. I'm like, hey, these almond trees, and they're like, we're talking about hazelnuts. Anyways, farming is a way to diversify your portfolio. If you have land, you may as well use it. I was a bigger fan of the sheep, even though we weren't getting a lot of money from it, because it's open pasture, and if we ever wanted to have animals on there, it wouldn't, you have to cut down the trees and wait like a decade for them to be nice pasture again. But I don't know, it's not the worst idea my dad's ever had. I've just been really on him about, hey, we already tried one thing and we just didn't have a market for it to sell it. And it doesn't look like there's anything established on the East Coast, because it is such a hard thing to grow on the East Coast. But they do have native varieties in Tennessee, so we could look into that. And apparently, um, hazelnut oil goes for like $7 to $10 a pound, and uh, we could try to find sellers or buyers for that too. Um, so to like restaurants and stuff. Um, I I think that having a product and selling it is always going to be more of a pain in the butt than just putting your money in the stock market. But I understand why we would want to do it. Like, we have a farm, may as well use the land. Um, I just, yeah, this was mostly me talking through it. That like, if my dad wants to do a hazelnut orchard and get that started, I'm not going to be opposed to it, but I am going to make sure that he knows how and where he would sell it and how he's planning on getting the equivalent. And this isn't this isn't taking into account taxes or equipment, because I am not scavenging on the ground for hazelnuts. They make like vacuums that hook up to tractors, and basically they suck the hazelnuts from the ground for you. But I'm pretty sure that's like $20,000 1 year, and then it lasts for 20 years. So, and we already have fences for the most part, which we would be using to keep the deer and the bears out. But my biggest concerns with this are, well, first of all, can we find a variety that won't succumb to blight? And the second thing is, if there's no major buyers that will accept nuts, like, we just need to find, I want my dad to do the research and tell me, where are we going to send these nuts and get money? Because to me, if we're going to do hazelnuts and we don't want to be at farmers markets selling hazelnut oil. We don't want to be going around to restaurants and getting that. We don't want to, like, he doesn't want it to be a business that he has to do a bunch of stuff for. He just wants to collect nuts off the ground and ship them where they need to go and get a check. So I would be okay, honestly, with like the worst case scenario. Somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000 a year. And the only reason I'd be okay with that is because this isn't my full-time job. This is it's a hobby. So we could make $100,000 a year, but I would be banking on $20,000 a year. And I mean, worst case scenario, I can live off of $20,000 a year. That's pretty sure that's my expenses. Divided by 12. Could I live off of $17,000 a month? Or sorry. Of course I can live off of $17,000. Can I live off of $1,700 a month? At the moment, no. In 6 years, yes. And the reason why it's like that is because in 6 years, hopefully, I will have paid off my house. I will have sold my condo. I will pay off my car. I would have taken care of all my debts. So basically, the only thing I'd have to do is like car gas, car maintenance, groceries for myself, and feeding and housing my pets. So, yeah, I could live off of $1,700 a year. It wouldn't be I wouldn't be going on a lot of luxury vacations, but um, I don't really want to go anywhere anyway. Vacation's not really my goal. I do want to retire early so that I don't have to go to work. Well, that's a little bit of a rant, but I would really like to just be the master of my own time and do the projects that I find interesting and not be having to do work at a job to get money. But that is like the most privileged. Anyways, hazelnut farming is not more profitable than Yieldmax, but honestly, Yieldmax is probably unrealistic and it's untested through time. So it's a if we can figure out a variety that won't have blight, and we can figure out how to sell it, then it's not the worst idea for diversification, and it's a heck of a lot more profitable than sheep. And the reason for that is, you have good years and you have bad years, and it turns out that our estimates for sheep, like, we were too optimistic. So we are only able to support so many sheep on our land, and it was a number less than what was estimated, and the price for sheep is less than what we estimated. The amount of work needed to go into marketing was above estimate. So, anyways, thank you for sticking with me. Have you ever wanted to have a farm, and what would you want your farm to have? So, have a good night. Bye.